Are you looking for the best monitors for Xbox Series X? In this video we will look at some of the 5 best monitors on the market. Before we get started with our video, we have included links in the description, so make sure you check those out to see which one is in your budget range. Starting at number 1. Samsung Odyssey Neo G7S32BG75. If you don't need such a high-end monitor and prefer saving money, or if you're concerned about the risk of burn-in on the Dell Alienware AW3225QF, check out the Samsung Odyssey Neo G7S32BG75. It has a 32-inch 4K screen like the Dell, delivering detailed images, but it doesn't have the same outstanding picture quality as it lacks an OLED panel with the same deep blacks and no blooming. It doesn't have the same near-instantaneous response time for outstanding motion handling, but that's the trade-off if you want something cheaper. That said, it still has an impressive response time at 120Hz and 60Hz, so motion is sharp, and it can take full advantage of the Xbox thanks to its HDMI 2.1 bandwidth as it works with 1440p signals, which the Dell can't do. It also delivers good picture quality thanks to its high contrast and decent mini LED local dimming feature, so there isn't too much blooming around bright objects. It even gets brighter than the Dell, which is useful if you want to use it in a well-lit room, and small highlights also pop for a vivid HDR experience. At number 2. LG 27GR93UB. If you find the Samsung Odyssey Neo G7S32BG75 still too much out of your price range, a mid-range option like the LG 27GR93UB is a good, cheaper alternative. As you drop down in price categories, you lose out on picture quality, and that's the case here because the LG doesn't have mini LED backlighting or even a local dimming feature, so it's much worse for darkroom gaming as blacks look gray. That said, it's still excellent for gaming as it has a fast response time at any refresh rate and has HDMI 2.1 bandwidth to take advantage of the Xbox Series X. Although it doesn't perform well in dark rooms, its picture quality is still good if you game in a bright room as it has great reflection handling and gets very bright, enough to fight glare. Its 4K resolution helps deliver detailed images, and while its 27-inch screen is big enough for most gamers, you can also check out the 32-inch LG 32GR93UB if you want something bigger. The 32GR93UB costs more, so it may be out of your price range. At number 3. Dell Alienware AW2724DM. If you don't need a 4K monitor and don't mind getting a lower resolution display for less, there are some excellent gaming options in the lower mid-range price category. One of those is the Dell Alienware AW2724DM, which has a lower 1440p resolution than the LG 27GR93UB, meaning images are less sharp and detailed, but that's the trade-off for getting something cheaper. It doesn't have HDMI 2.1 bandwidth either, so it can't take full advantage of the Xbox Series X, but that just means it doesn't support 4K at 120Hz, as other signals work without issues. It even downscales a 4K at 60Hz signal, which allows you to experience HDR with the Xbox. In terms of its gaming performance, motion looks incredible at 120Hz, thanks to its fast response time. It remains relatively fast even at 60Hz, resulting in minimal blur. It also has wide viewing angles that make it ideal for co-op gaming, so sharing your screen with someone else is easier. One downside is that it doesn't have an audio output, so it's better to consider the LG 27GP850B/27GP83BB if you want to connect speakers. It's very similar to the Dell and costs less but has slightly higher input lag. At number 4. Dell G2724D. If you're looking for something on a budget, then the Dell G2724D is a great choice. It's a step-down model from the Dell Alienware AW2724DM, with the main trade-off being that it has fewer features. It doesn't have USB ports or an audio output for hooking up speakers either, but removing all these features keeps the cost low. It's still excellent for gaming because it has fantastic motion handling at 120Hz and 60Hz, meaning there's minimal blur trail with fast-moving objects. Luckily, it doesn't have compatibility issues with the Xbox, and it can downscale a 4K at 60Hz image for HDR, but you won't get 4K at 120Hz signals as it doesn't support HDMI 2.1 bandwidth. It has a low contrast ratio, so deep blacks look gray in a dark room, and it isn't ideal for darkroom gaming. If you want a budget-friendly option that delivers great picture quality in dark rooms, check out the AOC Q27G3 XMN instead. It features mini LED backlighting and looks great in dark rooms with deep blacks, but in terms of pure gaming performance, the Dell still has an advantage thanks to its improved motion handling. At number 5. Gigabyte GS27QC. If you need a simple and cheap gaming monitor for your Xbox Series X, look into the Gigabyte GS27QC. While it can be close in cost to the Dell G2724D, it can be found for considerably less when it goes on sale. It has specs similar to those of the Dell as it maintains a 1440p resolution, but the main difference is its panel type. It uses a VA panel with worse viewing angles and more smearing with fast-moving objects than on the Dell, but it has a few advantages, like its higher contrast, so blacks look deep in dark rooms. While it doesn't have the fastest response time, it's still good enough for most gamers and has impressive gaming performance. It works well with the Xbox, and besides the lack of 4K at 120Hz support, there aren't any compatibility issues. It's also capable of downscaling a 4K at 60Hz image for HDR. Unlike the Dell, it has an audio output, so you can connect speakers directly to the monitor and get sound from your console. It also has a curved screen to bring the edges closer to you, but because of its limited ergonomics and narrow viewing angles, it isn't ideal for co-op gaming.